Staffgesloofd, skilsosjavov, salatofiuch, rechfjasjovio. Spiltofiuch eniosra, rechra sesjofiuch ivore, sitschara wasitnjavov. Daar vestjesloov astarmo suditgesloofd, slofetravov sabitargesloofd, shitschgoofsloov fetrav sevo ivchirtlova. Schleponjavov kisluva avstjotfna, Tjeprodovsluva uskibrovna, mit spiltut, snuv, slusogonjata, ivkusfjuch, veg, sluoschigo, armia. Sifmi, sludevnapej av smizet spiocha Keeyapain. Keeyapain is today spoken by around 50 million people in the modern nations of Keeya, or Keeya, Norveth, or Norvorth, and the former colony situated on the Antarctic peninsula, Fraland, or Fralard, in Keeyapain. No, I totally didn't make all of that up, just to give me an excuse to make a language to use in some of my songwriting, and because I had a random small obsession with Antarctica as a place at the time of starting the language. I'd definitely never do that. Keeyapain is a Folic language, evolving from Proto-Folic, spoken in the Flora region, situated between the Tirah and Nior rivers, in modern Keeya. Following contacts with Latin dialects of France, Old Norse, Northern English dialects, French, and the Celtic languages, it later became the language with prestige within the island group, later becoming the main surviving Folic language. Keeyapain's name literally means people talk. Yes, I know, how predictable of me. Though nowadays it could also be translated as face talk, since while Key in the masculine means a Keeyan person, in the feminine it also means face. Logically, of course, Keeyapain Sign Language is therefore called Llapaya, or hand talk. Keeyapain's consonants are ma, na, nya, pa, ba, ta, da, ka, ya, ka, ga, cha, ja, sa, za, sha, ja, fa, va, sha, sha, wa, ra, ya, ra, sha, and la. This obviously is a huge consonant inventory, mostly due to some funky things that Keeyapain does with palatals, as will be explained later. Keeyapain's vowels are I, e, a, y, u, o, a, w, r, w. And yes, those are phonemic strident vowels. I'll explain them also later. You'll also notice the various ways to write each sound, most of which we'll get onto in due course. However, the Y and Z thing is dictated by the letter that they appear with, in that they receive an acute accent when appearing with letters that they can appear in digraphs with, such as for example in urech, it, and chuds, beer. Keeyapain's syllable structure is SCCVVCCC, with S standing for sibilant. Keeyapain forbids postvocalic nasals ma and na, except after schwa and in a few exceptions. Palatals kya, ya, nya, and hya anywhere other than straight before a vowel, and word initial stops or nasals as part of clusters. This therefore makes stark a valid syllable, though not sark or stark, though this last example is a valid spelling, but would instead be pronounced stark, unless where the following word starts with a vowel, similar to French liaison. Similarly, snark is valid, but not in sark or starn, though again, this is a valid spelling, but we pronounce star, this time in all contexts. Keeyapain vowel length is not true vowel length, with long a being r, long e, I, o, and u. Long vowels are either marked with an acute accent, known as a marked vowel, or by doubling the following consonant letter, as seen with the distinction between admud, arm, and admud, armour. Stress may be marked with a circumflex accent on unmarked vowels, or an umlaut accent on marked vowels, such as in eponyod and fas-forvod respectively. Where stress is unmarked, it always falls on the first syllable without plain schwa, such as in forsuch and rechu. Keeyapain has phonemic strident vowels ra, ro, ro, r, ru, and ro. Written with the trigraph RZ vowel, these are the result of back vowels assimilating to a preceding uvular trill, ra, which subsequently disappeared, as demonstrated here with the word ro. Keeyapain's nasal rule dictates that, as a result of historical nasalization, nasal consonants cannot appear postvocalically unless a plain schwa or an orthographic silent h appears before them. The vowel which precedes the orthographic nasal thus undergoes mutation, with e, and ear becoming ear, u, o, and o becoming o, and a and r becoming r, then the nasal consonant deleted, as can be demonstrated with the other o. To start the allophony section is Keeyapain's palatalization rule, which isn't technically allophony as it doesn't apply in all situations like this, but comes close enough. Essentially, before high front vowels e, and ear, these sounds become these sounds. The thing that disqualifies this is that it does not apply when the vowel is written in one of these ways, with e over dot being the equivalent of unmarked I grave for marked I acute, ash for unmarked e, and e grave for marked e acute. In terms of actual allophones, ka, ga, and cha become uvularized before ra and strident vowels. Sa, when written as an s, becomes voiced when in contact with voiced obstruents, except da when it's written with an r, as this was until recently the tapped ra. Then there's the classic na becomes nga before velar sounds, and the rule where voiced and voiceless consonants of the same place and manner of articulation appear consecutively, which says that the voiceless sound in these situations is deleted, such as in dokumirdi. Keeyapain uses a definite article prefix, s, and a separate word for the indefinite article, fn, which comes before the noun. It also has demonstratives ve for this and ret for that, which can be used as determiners before a noun or as pronouns. Keeyapain's basic word order is not basic at all, as we'll get onto later, though it places adjectives after the noun, possessors after the possessee, uses prepositions, places numerals before the noun, and places adverbs and negation particles straight after the word they modify, some of which can be seen in the sentence Fujiyani kevatlup from Tufkvacha av spilklav sich verpilkev, which means an old man walked slowly to the shop in this village, or more literally, walked slowly a man old to the shop in this village. Now, Keeyapain has many derivational affixes, so I'm simply going to go showcase just a few, by which, of course, I mean 11. Orsa plus the singular means the entire or the whole, such as in årsudde, all day, whereas orsa plus the plural means every, such as in årsudder, every day. These both replace the y with an apostrophe if the word starts with a vowel. The fia suffix turns a verb into a noun, like in adailfia, exit, from adailod, to exit, and pshua is like the English er, and it's definitely not derived from person. So, for example, in chayosra pshua, dancer. Fia turns a noun into an adjective, like in fiajakia, hungry, or literally with hunger, and wa means with the quality of, like in wayu, fried or egg-like, while kiev and kief mean without the quality of, like kief defnelfelv, which is meaningless, literally, and pil means place of, like in pilcha, bed, or place of sleeping. Keeyapain's augmentative and diminutive are the moor and kya suffixes respectively, like in yofamor, sack, or big bag, and twavorvkya, princess, or little queen. Finally, there's Keeyapain's infix, ash, turning adjectives like nochad, true, into adverbs like nochashlad, truly. This is inserted in polysyllabic words after the stressed syllable, or in monosyllabic words before the vowel, or merges with fya or war to form fiach and wash respectively. Nouns in Keeyapain are either masculine or feminine, and decline into the nominative, accusative, and genitive cases. There is a singular plural distinction, with the plural inflection r, which comes after the case inflection, like in fwkivocher, worms in the genitive, beard, beards in the accusative, and chulfnar, rights in the accusative. This last example also demonstrates another rule in that nouns with the fear suffix undergo a vowel mutation to fna in the accusative case if, as most are, they are masculine. This all of course comes with an exception in nouns with the pshua suffix, in which case the plural turns into pshonya, and the case declension follows that, like in chaisa pshonyad, dancers in the genitive. Adjectives also have gender and can either be marked in the genitive case according to this, they do not agree with the noun that they modify, or left unmarked. Adjectives are marked where there is a direct relationship between the noun and the adjective, as genitive case shows modification, as shown in the difference between few have a beautiful accent, notes the use of a hyphen as is conventional for noun and adjective modification in Keeyapain, and sakshiot fuch or chashla, your accent is beautiful. Comparatives are simply gra for more and aru for less, which becomes superlatives with the definite article. Comparatives come after the word they modify, and the word ver can be used to compare with something else. All of this can be seen in the examples he walks quicker than me, or literally, walk quickly more he than I, and saru, we got the least amount of gifts, or literally, got we the gifts the least. Now here's where it gets interesting. Verbs usually come under one of two classifications based on their infinitive, with OD verbs, whose stem usually ends in a consonant, or D verbs, whose stem usually ends in a vowel. This is also where the slashed O comes in to distinguish OD verbs with D verbs whose stem ends in an O. Verbs inflect for tense, either past, present or future, and mood, either indicative, ablative, can, obligative, must, conditional or imperative, and where multiple verbs appear, the first is inflected and the rest stacked together as infinitives and may only be separated by modifiers like adverbs, such as in adoshujotrich or defnau chashul studies felvotrich Keeyapain. Now, remember what I said about basic word order is complicated? This is why. Keeyapain tense may be marked with word order, with VSO showing past, SVO present, and OSV future. So, for example, Zerich Sachov reads as I ate the apple, but Reize Sachov is I eat the apple, and Sachov Reize is I will eat the apple. Though it should also be noted that SVO is generally quite old-fashioned and only really used in formal situations, with most speakers opting for VSO and simply inflecting the past. Other than that, tense inflections are mostly used where tense is ambiguous by word order alone, and in passive constructions, as will be explained later. However, of course, language wouldn't be language without its complications. In Keeyapain, for example, to be and to have often act as inflections on a pronoun or any noun in some dialects, which can be highly irregular. However, this creates a requirement to mark the tense on these two verbs. There are standalone forms for relative clauses and imperatives, as shown in this table, which young people are increasingly using, even when a clear subject is present. However, it is much more standard just to use the pronoun inflections. Using this, we can now form Keeyapain's continuous and perfect, which both draw from Welsh's use of verb nouns. The continuous is formed with ud, the definite article, and an infinitive, with the perfect the same but with ud fju. It's important to note that unless separated by a preposition in these constructions, and any construction with s plus an infinitive for that matter, the object takes the genitive case and not the accusative. For example, is I am drinking my drink, and I have drunk my drink. As a result, Keeyapain doesn't have past or present participles. To get around this, it uses certain constructions such as fjö plus s plus infinitive for by doing. For example, fjusod orsod wod freft fjuch, fjärnare. By doing all your homework, you will improve. Or Eve plus verb in the past plus fj for something by, with a future tense meaning to be done by. This can be seen in Eve Giocho Fiog, Universitet Llyda Recha, which means opened by Eve writing, the University of Lindam is massive. This is derived from the passive, as to be discussed in a bit. Most modality is expressed by mood in Keeyapain, but should and could are slightly unusual, should be informed with the progressive obligative, like in Regos Povra, I should exercise more, or I am having to exercise more, and could with the progressive ablative, like in Reignig Siodod, I could help, or I am being able to help. Keeyapain has a yes-no question particle, or, which comes at the start of a declarative clause to make it interrogative, such as in or fjufisa, have you eaten? Also has many interrogative pronouns, such as fjaj, how, kaj, what or which, kachigo, when, kapel, where, kioj, who, and porch, why. The word Eve exists as a marker to start Keeyapain relative clauses, like English that or Spanish que, but more specific ones, such as sieve for what and which, stigiv for when, spliv for where, and skioj for who, exist. Unless being used with ud, these can and are often replaced with Eve in informal speech. Now for the nightmare of Keeyapain's passive, which is complicated, hence why I've left it till last. It's formed with rech in one of its ud forms, plus the subject in the nominative, Eve, then the verb matched to the tense and mood of ud. For the by someone, it's just fj plus the object. To complicate matters even further, the rech and ud are left out more often than not in casual conversation and informal speech. This construction can be seen in the example sentence of Rachel regiv kafani fjevoa, I was attacked by them, or it was me that was attacked by them. The active version of this would be kafani arag, they attacked me. It's also important that rag is in the nominative case, here as Rachel rag iv kafani fjevoa reads as it was me that attacked with them, which you wouldn't want to say in a court case. Now, any regular viewers of Lang Focus will recognise this feature. I'm going to look at two sentences and break them down to demonstrate Keeyapain's features. First is Et was sudfis fragid opleveg project kefeto kifis korshod reche, which translates as she should have finished her project by now, but she hasn't started it. Or more literally, she is having the to be with the to finish before now of the project her, but she is not with the to start of it. This pronoun, etta, is a third-person singular animate neuter pronoun, while erge and eretta do exist for he and she respectively. You'll never see this unless talking to someone in their 60s or over. It's also inflected for the present obligative form of the copula ud, since the idea of should is expressed with the continuous obligative. Udfjö means to have, but literally translates as to be with. This is used here in conjunction with the infinitive fragid to express the perfect. The word obfjö demonstrates Keeyapain's literalness, translating to before rather than by. Then there's two cases of the genitive case together. The first is projectje, the genitive of project, used due to the perfect construction which requires the object to be in the genitive. The other, etch, is the genitive of etta, and is used to mark possession, which is a direct relationship, and therefore a hyphen is added to. Then we can see another perfect construction, with ud this time in the present. Now here's another example. Which means, I was woken up last night by your noise. Why do you have to play video games all night? Or more literally, I that woke up during the night last with the noise you're, why play must all the night you the video games? First we notice the passive construction with Eve plus verb, in this case in the past tense. Also, rech has been left out here, as is common in everyday speech. Then there's the inclusion of sig, in the adverbial of time six corspila torture, again demonstrating Keeyapain's literal translation. This also includes a genitive case adjective, torture, attached with a hyphen due to the direct modification. Then we have the interrogative poch, meaning why, which is not acting as a pronoun, so it's at the start of the clause. We then notice the orsa prefix with the singular in ors corspila to mean the entire. If used with the plural, ors corspilar, this would not mean all night, but every night. Also note the use of the accusative, as nouns acting as an adverb behave like objects modified by a preposition, except for orschiger. Finally, I want to point out that the word eshiar, which means video games, comes from an initialized form of Schulzvier Eerstednet. Now, that's all I have to show of Keeyapain for now. Have I missed any features? Comment anything you want to know below, who knows, I might reply. Also, feel free to let me know what you think. I'd love to know what works and what doesn't. Anyway, my talk postfeldod, and enjoy this outro of a Keeyapain reading of the Declaration of Human Rights. Oes twir gojviwok, llwf ysporsafefche, llws trwfnarefche. Recher rif das dejar, llws kiafna, llerwasod, fyfn graf kif wat o garkitje as specifed.